welcome to Women Power. I'm your host, Lorna Grayling, and today we have our first male guest on the show. We are so excited to welcome Thomas Blackwell. He is the CEO and founder of Say, Do, Achieve, and he's an inspirational and motivational speaker and life coach for international corporate companies and sport teams. And his goal and his mission is to reach 1 billion people with his revelation knowledge of how to change your life through your words. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to have you on the show.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Lorna. What a pleasure and a privilege to be here. Love what you're doing, and I'm honored to be the first male on your Women Power TV.
Well, we're very glad to have you, Thomas. I mean, I met you at an incredible corporate, it was actually like a training session, I suppose. And you literally blew my mind with the knowledge of how to change your words and change your life. But let's backtrack a little bit. How did you get into this business and how did you get to this revelation knowledge? Because you started out owning a pizza shop, right?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. So everything has a story, and everything. I believe that we eventually find our calling, and different things will leave us clues. And really, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I often used to say, Lorna, I'm not where I want to be, or I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or that sort of thing, because I felt like there was something else, something greater perhaps. But that was false thinking and false language, because I would say, Thomas, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And everything that you're experiencing right now is qualifying you for the next opportunity. So you take those present moments out, you're not even qualified to move forward. So everything that's happening is happening for us. And that was the case for me. I didn't know the speaking industry was an industry. I didn't know it was a job. I didn't know it was a career. I didn't know. So it sort of plucked me out of what I was doing. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been running my own businesses. Pizza business was one of them. Then I got into the insurance business. And then we had some success after almost quitting and having several struggles. Almost quit, but then decided to really go for it. And that decision was a powerful thing. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson says that when a decision is made, the universe conspires to make it happen.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. And so I recognized I hadn't decided, and I would say, to back that up, that most people don't get what they want because they just haven't decided yet. And so we decided to decide, and had some success after 2 years of struggling in a short amount of time. And with that, I was getting invited to go and speak on other stages. It was actually in 2004, the company that I was working with, there was over 10,000 agents in that company, and they had an annual conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. And they invited me to come speak on the stage for 7 whopping minutes. And so I told my little story in 7 minutes, and there was 10,000 people out there, and it was my first time in front of that large of a crowd. And I started getting these phone calls. People started saying, Thomas, can you come out to New York City, and I'm going to put 500 people in the room, and can you tell this story? And we're going to give you more than 7 minutes, by the way, they said. So, and then can you come out to Alberta, Canada? Can you tell your story there? And can we come out to Chicago, Illinois, and Dallas, Texas? Yeah. And so I found myself 2-3 times a month on an airplane going to speaking to groups and teaching them about making a decision. But then I found that my common theme, my common message, Lorna, was our language, that we bring about what we talk about, that I could tell who is going to succeed by how they spoke and what they said. And even in athletics, that I've had the opportunity to participate in different levels and college levels and things. And I could tell which athlete was going to win.
Wow, that's amazing. Thomas, I wanna cut in and rewind slightly, because you said 2 very powerful things for me that I want to elaborate on. The first being to decide, right? That is so interesting that you say that, because I think a lot of us in our lives want something, but we might not have realized that we haven't actually decided to do it, right? So wanting something and deciding to decide to do it seems to be two different things, right?
It is. It is. And I call them toe dippers. You know what I mean? That's the water's out there, and they'll go dip their toe in the water and say, "Oh, that's a little cold. You know, you jump in and see if you drown, then I'll think about it." And then, but the fact is, there's a common saying, and maybe maybe it's just an American saying, I don't know, but people say, "I'm waiting for my ship to come in." Have you heard that before?
Yeah, a lot of people say that, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting, and they're just waiting around on the shore. Well, the fact is, everybody's ship has come in at a time or another, but the ship is out there and it's docked about a mile out, and you have to swim to it.
Yeah.
And those who decide to swim to it will get there. And of course, there's going to be some obstacles and some things like that, but you just have to keep swimming and keep your eye on the prize. You know, Zig Ziglar said, obstacles are those things we see. Obstacles are those things that show up in our life when we take our eyes off the prize, when we take our eyes off the goal. And so,
yeah, that is so true, right? It's to do that, because I love your company. It says say, do, and achieve, right? So a lot of people, because I know I was confused, you know, in the beginning, not after I heard you speak, it became so real for me, you know, how our language impacts our life. But before that, I'd heard stories and teachings and even a book. I even had a book that a friend gave me about the language and what you speak, you know, and how it comes about. And I kind of thought, all right, you know, I'm now going to speak a couple of things, and it's got to be like a genie in a bottle, right? And now it's just going to come to pass. And so in the beginning, I kind of thought, this stuff doesn't work. Because I've seen a couple of powerful things now for a while. You know, I even had these little cards out saying them in the mornings. But after I listened to you, it's like something shifted in my mind, because your examples are so practical. It literally showed me how it empowers you once you start to say these things and believe it and then move in that direction, right?
It is. So it's the formula. You must say what you want, do the actions necessary to support what you're saying, and then you'll achieve it. You can see this in many different areas, Lorna, that they're doing actions towards the goal or the prize, but their language is opposite. We don't know if we're going to achieve it. There's all these things in our way, and they're speaking negatively about the summit that they're trying to climb or achieve. And so when those two things are not congruent, you will never be able to achieve your summit. But when you line those up, you can achieve anything you want. You say like it's happening, you say like you've achieved it, and then you do the action necessary, and the world is in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, it sounds so easy, Thomas, but I know there's a lot of perseverance involved with it, right? I think sometimes people forget about the persevering part. We all like the quick fix. I think especially in 2022, it's a quick fix world we live in. You know, everything is quick and easy. You're on the phone, everything, you know, the technology makes life very quickly and very easy. But I know, I mean, the book that you wrote, a profound, profound book about this exact formula that you're talking about, and I would highly recommend this book. If I remember correctly, I heard it took you 10 years to write this book. Is that right?
Yeah.
That takes some perseverance to keep going and to finish it. I mean, what were some of your struggles, and how did you conquer them?
Yeah, so the first thing to incorporate here is the language I used around that. You know, it did take me 10 years to write this book, you know, the liberty of our language revealed, we talk about. If I finished it in 12 months, it wouldn't have been the right book. I could have pushed it, but I'm grateful for the patience that I was granted to understand that this will be, you know, it could be a bestseller, or it can just be a postcard or a business card. And some people get books out that way, and that's great, but I wanted it to be one that was passed down to the generations. And so in the beginning, having to live this, we talk about, I don't say struggle. So you start to change your language and change your results. You change your language, you'll change your environment and change your life. So I don't have struggles. I have opportunities for growth.
Wow, I love that wording.
Yeah, because one is a sinking your ship type of language. You know what I mean? Another one is let's go achieve the summit. So, and nothing is hard in my life either. You know what I mean? Because that's again where the language is not congruent with what I'm trying to achieve. If I said things are hard, my body, my inside, the universe is saying, okay, we're going to put every roadblock up for you. But I don't say hard. The hard doesn't exist. Hard is changed to worth the effort. So life is worth the effort. Life is not hard. Business is not hard. It's worth the effort. Relationships are not hard. They're worth the effort. And so when you start switching these things, they put you on a projection and a trajectory that is achievable and everybody's aligned. So by using those sorts of language, yes, in 2018, it was finally complete. And then we attached a vision to it, Laura. And if you want anything to achieve anything, attach a vision to it. So the vision, as you alluded to earlier, is to significantly improve the language and mindset of more than 1 billion people worldwide. And because of that, it's in 2 languages already. It's in English and Spanish. And I, in 2019, had the opportunity to speak in 12 countries in 12 months on 5 continents. And just, it's gone that way because the vision is just guiding it. And it's very directional. So, 1 billion people, what does that mean? That means I'll always be doing this. As long as I'm providing for my family and my life, we'll be doing this and moving this message along.
That is so profound. I love it. And I think that is so important, like you say, to attach a vision to it, because that really keeps your eyes on the big picture, right? And then and I know it's something very small and interesting, but I used to do mountain bike riding with my brother and my sister-in-law in South Africa. And we have very high mountains and, it's very real. The struggle is real going up those mountains. And it's very technical as well and quite scary, I have to say. And coming down them, so going up, like you said, I'm not going to use the word hard now. I'm going to say it's worth the effort.
Good. You're learning.
So it's worth the effort. But coming down, oh my goodness, everything in your brain tells you like, this is it, It feels like you're dying. It's very scary. And I realized that when I put my eyes on the stones and the obstacles in front of me, I get more scared. And the fear wants to overwhelm me. And the more I have fear, I kind of wobble, and my confidence is not enough. But as soon as I keep my eyes on where I want to go, it's like I don't see all the stones and the obstacles on the mountain. And the bike just kind of goes over it. And it was such a profound revelation for me. And I felt like this is something that you do in your talks. It's to keep your eyes on where you want to go and then providing the skills how to do it. So, Thomas, there's a lot of people that will now listen to this and say, oh, yeah, we're going to, change our language. But, where is the space where can we be real? Because let's be honest, if people go through very, very hard times in their life, and I know you went through a hard time with your one daughter dying as well. So it's not like you haven't had times where you've, had to conquer. So where is the point where you can speak out and be real and that fine line of saying things that empower you at the same time?
Once people realize how powerful our words are, you'll only say positive ones.
Okay.
Once you realize how powerful and literal and physical they are, there's a whole chapter in my book called The Physical Power of Our Words, that when we say we can, everything in the body strengthens up and buoys up to go accomplish the summit. When we say we can't, it's debilitating. It shuts down. Physically, we become weak. And I show people this physically when I'm with them, and you saw this. And so, I've had to live this, and that's why I felt guided to write the message, because people can live in this beautiful world versus a suffering world. And sometimes people suffering, well, you got to get real. You have to suffer sometimes. And that's a lie.
Yeah.
You do not have to suffer. You choose to suffer. And so even being scared scared doesn't exist for me. What scared you shift for? That I'm not scared. I'm stretching my courage.
Love it. Oh, I love it.
I'm by going down that mountain, I'm increasing my bravery.
Nice.
I'm really, increasing my faith.
Wow.
Testing my faith right now. I'm encouraging, I'm stretching. So you see how much more powerful that feels?
Absolutely. It's a whole mind shift of how you see your own life.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. Yeah.
Right. So instead of saying I'm terrified to go down the mountain, I'm excited to stretch my courage and go down this mountain. Because I know I'm only going to be better from it. So do you get a bruise or a scrape? Maybe, sure. But that's life. Does it knock you down or does it keep you going? So let me give you a couple of words, especially as you mentioned my daughter. We could have gone two different directions, and people have this choice every time, Lorna. They can use two words, which are victim mentality, which are detrimental. There's no progression. It's like putting on blinders. And so when the event happens, they could say, why me?
Yeah.
And when a person says, why me, you immediately attach blinders to your eyes. It's like you're shaking your fist at the heavens and you're saying, something's out to get me, that sort of thing. And it's very victim mentality. Well, it's debilitating. Or you can change it to 4 words. So when that situation happened where my third daughter returned to heaven, we said, what can I learn?
Sure.
So when you change why me to what can I learn, it literally switches things around, because now you're open to progression. Now you're saying, what can I learn from this? Teach me, guide me, right? Whether that's a spiritual sense that you take, like we do, or other, whatever direction you go. But your response to the event will determine the outcome. And you've heard me say this formula, E plus R equals O. Event plus the response is equal to the outcome. And the only thing we control is in that middle, is that response. We don't always control the event, but we can control the response. Think about it. We've had a worldwide pandemic. And there is companies you could call and they would say, due to COVID-19, we don't have to be nice to you this week. Right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it right? Everything was due to COVID-19.
Absolutely.
It was this why me victim mentality. Then you'd call other companies who had a different response. They'd say, due to COVID-19, we really got to step up our game.
Yeah.
We really have to innovate and improve. And those companies not just survived, but many of them thrived, while the other ones aren't around anymore in a large sense. Because of their response, different outcomes. So the only thing in life really we have control over in the event is how I respond to it. And that's going to determine whether it's a positive trajectory or a negative one.
The way you explain it is just empowering. I absolutely love it. You're phenomenal. I can speak to you all the time. Last question before our time runs out, Thomas. I love how you explain wealth, especially on your website. And so what is true wealth to you? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, true wealth to me is something I heard, saw Mother Teresa say one time. And she said, true wealth is having enough to share. And we can determine wealth. It's all encompassing with, yes, it has monetary value. But really wealth is having the knowledge. I can share knowledge. I can share myself. I can offer service with my physical ability. And so true wealth is having enough to share. And as long as I'm sharing, I'm a wealthy person. And that's true wealth to me. And so we're always blessed. We always have enough. It's interesting enough, even the person who doesn't have a home on the side of the street, they have what they need. Somehow they're still there, and somehow they're still surviving. And so just what a beautiful world. And I heard a wise man say one time, he said, people will work hard for money. They will, but they'll work harder for another person.
Wow.
So, or a culture that they feel good in. So you can see the value of being a good leader, have a great culture, because people will think about, if they're offered more money somewhere, they'll think about moving if they feel good and valued in that culture. But it's not the highest level. See, people work hard for money. They'll work harder for another person or culture, but they'll work the hardest of all for a cause or a purpose they believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when we have a cause and a purpose that we believe in, it also helps us to live out our life, right? And our calling. So it's just that whole beautiful full circle of why we've been made and why we are here, and all those things comes together. It's so, so powerful. I love it. Thomas, we're literally out of time, but you've been so, so amazing. Where can people get hold of you and check you out?
I would love to serve anyone I can. So if you go to my website, if you can just search engine Thomas Blackwell. My websites will be the first one up there. The website's thomasblackwellspeak.com. thomasblackwellspeak.com. You can even look up my company, saydoachieve.com. It goes to the same place. And would love to stay with people and support them on a weekly basis. I send out free weekly inspirational language tips. They can sign up for those for free. And every Monday, they'll get a little snippet, a little paragraph, a little power story to help them change their language so they can change their life. So look forward to hearing from you. thomasblackwellspeak.com.
Absolutely. And I have to say, Thomas, those weekly emails are really profound. I literally love them. And I'm not someone who really reads a lot in general, but I'm very excited every Monday for your email because they're really inspirational and they make you think about, I love it. Thank you Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that is it from me, Lorna Grayling and Woman Power. If you would like to get hold of Thomas and have him speak at your company or your next conference, take a look on the screen. His details will be on there. Until next week, goodbye.